Hello, Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator Podcast. I'm your host, Dana. And today on our TLC Tuesday, we are talking about 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, Season 8, Episode 9. Let's get into it. Tuesday evening, everyone. I hope everyone's had a really good start to the week. I've had a really good start to the week because I have some amazing news for you all. I got a job. Yes, I finally got a job. I am so excited. I literally applied for this job on October 17th, 2025. So it's been some time, okay? And I don't start until February the 17th. So it's been a full 4-month process. Like, so much happened during that time. I literally got fired during that time, right? I got fired on December 1st. So much has changed since I applied for that job. I had applied because I had a feeling things were going awry at the one that I was at. Obviously, I was right because they fired me like 6 weeks later. But yeah, this one was very slow moving. Regardless, I had a good feeling about it, all the stages of the process, but it was just a very slow process. So that's why I've been feeling so anxious lately, if I'm being honest. Just there's a lot of stages to these processes, and I was still interviewing with other places because I felt like I kind of had to, because until I had something in writing from these people, I still felt like it was a jinx, because it was up in the air, right? So I was scared. I'm like, okay, I got to keep going to these interviews. So I've been going to interviews week after week after week, knowing that I was pretty sure I was going to get this job. Then they wanted more references from me. Then I had to end up telling them that I was fired from my last job because they weren't aware of it, because I had applied when I still had that job. So I was really worried about not getting it, and it all just really worked out. So I'm really excited about it. I start with 4 weeks vacation, which is so amazing. I think I can never really even go on vacations, to be honest, because I can never really afford it. But the salary for this job is so good that I'm going to be able to live for the first time just freely in a way where I'll be comfortable, which is so nice. I've literally never had that in my life. I'm single. I have no savings. And this was so detrimental to me. I was like 3 months away from being homeless. I was so freaked out. So to have the salary that they're giving me, I'm so excited. It's going to be enough for me to be comfortable. And then with 4 weeks vacation time, that's so amazing. I'm going to take 2 weeks and go to LA. Absolutely. I'm just so excited about that. I've never been. I really want to go. I don't even care if I go by myself, because I know so many, at least other content creators there, that I'll just have the most amazing time. And I'll go to Sir and Tom Tom and do the whole Vander crawl and everything. So I'm really excited about this job and everything that it holds. Oh, and it's also only 5 days a month in office, which is pretty good, I have to say, because hybrid around here could be anywhere from 1 day a week in office to 4 days a week in office. So the fact that it's only 5 days a month in office is really great, because I can just be closer to my dog to make sure that she's okay, because she can't be alone for very long. That was one of my considerations. Some of these jobs were just such a far drive, or in the opposite direction on the subway, that I was just really worried about being able to get to her and being apart from her for 10 hours a day. And what am I going to do and all of that? So this one is literally right across the street. So I'm so excited about that. I'm so thankful. I am just so incredibly thankful. But that does mean that the show is going to be changing a bit, because I obviously can't be doing a 5-day-a-week show when I'm working full time. And to be honest with you guys, as much as I really did want to turn this into a career, it just hasn't really happened. And it's not like I've only been trying this for 2 months since I got fired. I've been trying this for a couple of years. So it doesn't mean that I'm not still invested in this, because I am. It just might not be my time. And I've realized that the effort that I'm putting into podcasting and content creating has created a lot of anxiety for me, because I want it so bad, and I've wanted it to turn into a career so bad that it sort of has become not as much fun anymore, because I'm not doing it for fun. I was trying to do it for a living. So now that I've gone back to thinking about it more in a fun way, I'm just going to be enjoying it more. So I think that'll be better for everyone all around. I don't know 100% right now what that means for the show in terms of how many episodes I'm going to put out. When I was working full time last, I was still pretty much putting full time hours into all of this. That being said, I really do want to try to focus on my new job and like spend a lot of time there, be listening, be really in tune because I want to make it my number one priority right now. So, I mean, I'll still be getting out at least 2 episodes a week plus a Patreon episode, but we'll kind of see how things go. We'll see how my training goes and how long that kind of takes and how long it just takes me to get like kind of onboarded and when I feel comfortable enough to do an episode right before work and then start at 8, right? Sometimes I would do things like that. So it'll change the show in terms of not as many episodes. In terms of the Bravo Investigator on Instagram and other social media stuff, I think I'll be pretty much just as online as I was before. I'm pretty good at multitasking, so I'm not too worried about that. But for the time being, because it's only February 3rd today and I don't start my job until February 17th, this is what you can expect for the week of episodes. So yesterday was our Monday reality roundup, which you can watch on YouTube. Today is obviously TLC Tuesday. We're doing 90 Day Fiance the other way. As I said, season 8, episode 9. Today's episode is not video, but you can watch like the blank screen on YouTube. I do upload it to YouTube regardless. Wednesday will be Patreon for the Patreon babies. We are doing Vanderpump Rules from the beginning. So we are at season 1, the reunion with the reunion for season 1. So it's going to be so much fun. And that's patreon.com/the Bravo Investigator podcast. And then at noon tomorrow as well on Wednesday, I'm recording with Up and Adam for Up and Adam Live. I think we're doing hot, messy topics. So I'm really excited for that. We're going to have such a fun time. So you can listen to me over there on Up and Adam. And then on Thursday, we will be recapping Summer House, which airs tonight. Tonight is the premiere, which I'm really, really excited about. It's one of our top Bravo shows. Like I know today is a TLC day, but I just want to say for the record, it is such a good show. Obviously, we know that Kyle and Amanda have recently announced their split. So obviously, we're going to be watching that show with a fine-tooth comb. But that being said, we already know that they were not a good match as it was, right? We've been watching their downfall for many years now, right? But I still think it's like one of the best shows that we have on Bravo. So I'm really jazzed about that. So I'll be recapping that on Thursday along with Southern Charm. And then on Friday will be The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and The Valley Persian Style. And then next week, I'm going to have some special episodes out as well. I'm trying to get my friend Leah Sauer on the podcast from Positively Uncensored. She's just not feeling well right now, but she's trying to get through a virus. I'm just trying to get her on as soon as we can, as soon as she's feeling better. I think I want to have her on for a reality roundup. And then I'll also be having a special guest on who recently recorded with a Bravo Leb who used to be on Vanderpump Rules. Okay, that's all I'll say for now. But I'm going to be getting this person's experience from recording a podcast with a very contentious Bravo Leb. So that's all I'll say. Let's get into our episode. Really excited for this one, 90 Day Fiance. This show just continues to give. It keeps on giving. I am so obsessed with this season. I'm so obsessed with these characters, not because I like any of them. Like I don't root for any of these couples, obviously, but they're just so interesting. And even if any of these couples are fake, they're giving us enough entertainment that like I'm really, really enjoying myself. I think for the most part, this was sort of a filler episode. We didn't have all of our couples. We didn't have Sheena and Forrest this time. Who else were we missing? I feel like we were missing one other couple, but I feel like we only hit a crossroads for maybe 1 or 2 couples this episode, and some couples were just sort of coasting through. But we'll start with Emma and Zayed because we haven't seen them in a while. I think we haven't seen them in a couple of weeks, yet we pick up where we left off, where Emma and Ziad are with his friends, and he's saying to them in his native tongue, he is at 0% in terms of wanting to marry her. Like on a scale of 1, or on a scale of 0 to 100%, he's at 0%. So she's obviously very upset about this. And yeah, dude, like, what are you doing? Also, if you're going to say it in your language, say it fully in your language. And he was even saying like, no, 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 when they were like, are you going to marry her? It was very obvious what he was saying. So say it in English, man. He calls her difficult and says that she doesn't let him speak, but she feels like he told her different things online than in person. So they are at a crossroads in terms of who they feel each other are. Emma feels confused because before she got there, he was showing her rings and saying, like, I have this ring waiting for you when you got here. But she feels like ever since she's been there, he's been like really mean to her for no reason. He's mad at her all the time, and he's not being as cute and sweet like he was online. And when she expresses this to him, he does agree and he ends up apologizing. And then he thinks that maybe he's been too hard on her. Now, for the rest of this, he ends up really sort of changing his tune. He makes her dinner. Emma calls him babe a million times, which becomes extremely annoying. Like you just hear like, babe, babe, oh, babe, babe. Like this girl is just a poster child for like, memes to be made out of her. Absolutely 100%. So I don't know what switched up here for him. I guess he realized he's not going to America if he acted like he hated her, but he really did seem to hate her, right? Whatever he was doing beforehand, before, when they were talking online, before she actually got to Morocco, obviously, if he is a scammer, then obviously what he was doing was in order to, show her that he was interested, act as though she was his number one priority, that he wanted to marry her. But what did he expect was going to happen when she got there? That she would forget about that? Like, if he's saying, like, I have a ring here for you, I'm going to propose to you when you get here, why are you acting annoyed that she is taking this relationship seriously, right? It's clear that he doesn't like her as a person, at least for the good majority of this, until they have this conversation. He thinks that she's annoying. He thinks that she's disrespectful because she speaks over him. But she feels like he's hiding a lot of things. And maybe so. But Emma, it's really hard to like side with you, girl. And I'm always siding with the woman. I'm always siding with the woman. But that being said, girl, you're lying too, right? Like you lied about this ex-boyfriend thing that you still haven't brought up, that you still, I guess, need to bring up because producers are going to make you at some point. But like, it's really, it gives Icky Rick, if you think about it, because the only reason that he kept pushing Trisha on that whole like 5 days of like ignoring him thing is because he thought that she was cheating because he was cheating, right? So it's just projecting. Don't project what you reflect, is something Lala Kent would say. So he starts acting like so nice, makes her dinner, like I said, completely acts differently. But now he says he's at like a 7%, which, is an improvement from 0%, right? 0% going to marry you, now 7%. He says he has to be at 100% in order for them to get married, which I feel is unfair. But this is now coming down to like percentages and dollars and cents, and it's getting kind of ridiculous because I was going to say, nobody's perfect. You can't be like 100% sure you want to marry someone. What about 80%? But then who the hell am I to determine what percentage you should be at in order to marry someone? An A minus, an A plus? Like that's absolutely ridiculous. So Emma ends up telling the producer that she and Zayed made out and then they had sex twice. So now she feels a lot more connected to him emotionally, physically, all of that stuff. I actually can't believe that they didn't have sex yet because it wasn't until this episode where they even like really cuddled for the first time, which was really cute to see. But like, it felt like he was holding back from that because he just really resented her in the way that Craig resents Austin on Southern Charm. Like, that's the level of animosity that I was feeling from Zayed towards Emma. But for some reason, I thought that they still had sex. Now, despite the things that he told her prior to her getting there, where he said, yeah, we can have sex, we can kiss, we can do whatever, and then he changed his mind, we know in Muslim countries that it's not really that way, and you can't be like super outwardly in terms of physical affection. So she tells the camera or the producer that she knows that like he wouldn't really be okay with her talking about this because of his religion and everything, but she had to tell someone. Girl, you're telling the producer who's filming it though, right? So I don't know what's going to happen with this, especially because she hasn't told him about Muhammad yet. I can't really pick up on what this guy wants. Like, when they're a scammer, typically they make an effort to hide that a little bit. But when this man is like shaking his head and being like 0%, this and that, like, that's not really what a scammer would say to someone that they're trying to scam. So I don't know what he's doing. I don't know 100% what he's doing. Now, just because there's holes in a scammer's story doesn't necessarily mean they're not a scammer. Maybe they're just not a good scammer. So I guess we'll see. Okay, let's move on to Lisa and Daniel. Now, poor Lisa, I feel really bad for her, okay? Poor Lisa has been wearing her wig all week in Nigeria, right? I don't know why she didn't bring more than one wig, to be honest, but like that's neither here nor there. So she's been wearing this same wig. I've never worn a wig. I don't know how wigs work, but I know she's got like a wig cap and she's got like glue and all of this stuff. So she has had it. She needs to get this thing off of her head and it's like stuck and she's never had it on this long. Her head hurts. She's uncomfortable. She has a headache. So she makes all of this effort to get the thing off. And, we also get a scene though, besides this, where Lisa is telling her daughter Faith that she and Daniel did end up getting engaged. But she didn't really have a choice but to say yes because he had created like this whole parade and song and dance thing. So she sort of had to nod yes. And when Faith questions how he was able to set up this whole thing with the money that she's giving him, Lisa doesn't really know. Now, Faith tells her this isn't good because she's been lying since day one. And yes, she still has not told him that she was a lesbian for a really long time and married 5 times and all of these things. I do wonder how far into this season we are. We're 9 episodes in. I don't know how long the season is because I feel like, in Housewives terms, we'd be like halfway through. I kind of feel, obviously, the show is typically much longer, but I sort of feel like I've been watching this for a long time. Obviously, I have been. I've been watching it for like 2 months, but I feel like you have been there for such a long time, and how have you not told him yet? But she's only been there a week, if you think about it. So I guess it's not like that crazy. And I do wonder if production actually holds them off for certain periods of time where they're like, no, this isn't a good moment. Hold off until this day or this day. I'm sure they do. I bet they do. Faith also mentions that she hasn't confronted Daniel about all of the women that he slept with. So apparently there's like whole more to that story. Okay. Like this isn't just about what Lisa has in her closet or her, all of her skeletons. This is also about what Daniel's been doing, which I've been curious as well. He's a good-looking guy. Who's he been sleeping with? What has he been doing? Has he been married before? I'm just like very curious about this guy's history. So now we get Lisa coming down to meet Daniel for the day, and she is not wearing her wig, right? Because as I said, she was having such a hard time with it. She takes it off, and so she sort of has like this short, mousy colored, I don't know how to describe the style of hair, but like shorter hair. And when Daniel sees Lisa without her wig, he says, "Why are you like this?" Oh my God, that is so embarrassing to have your fiance say, "Why are you like this?" Now she knows that Daniel likes her with her wig on. That's why she wears it. But at home, she doesn't wear it 24/7. And she tells the camera that he's going to have to get used to me without my wig. But she wasn't expecting him to act so like aghast about the whole thing. She was hoping that he would be like, "Oh, you look beautiful anyways," but he wasn't being like that. In fact, he was being like not even just a big baby, but like really rude. So she explains that she took the wig off so that she could breathe. And Daniel tells the camera that she looks embarrassing and older. And this isn't the Lisa he used to know. He says if they're going to be together, she will have to wear the wig. Fuck you, dude. Like, are you fucking kidding? What if you had a wife who had cancer, okay? And her hair fell out and her hair looked like that, and she couldn't wear a wig because like it hurt or something, or she was allergic. Fuck you. Like, it's interesting because listen, listen. You guys know I don't like to talk about people's looks, but I think we can agree Lisa is not like the most beautiful woman on earth. Okay, she's fine looking, but they don't really match up. It's not just the age, it's also like a little bit different. So the fact that he's placing that much weight on the wig in terms of her physical appearance is interesting to me. I mean, look at Gertie, right? She rocks a fucking amazing bald head, but it's not even like she has a bald head. She almost has like not quite shoulder length hair, but it's sort of shaggy. Yeah, it's like a shaggy bob, I guess is what you would call it. Yes, it does make her look older, but like the girl's scalp needs to breathe. Like I could see that. I could see it needing to get surgically removed at some point if she had left it on any longer. And I quite honestly like the way that Lisa is standing her ground here, but I do feel bad for her the way that he's treating her like she's the ugliest person on earth. But she's like, you're going to need to get used to it. She's not like, yes, master, I'll do whatever you say and I'll wear it for as long as you want. She's like, no, you're going to have to get used to it. But then Daniel says that she has to wear it if they're going to meet friends and family. And she tells him that he's being rude and she wants him to feel like she's just as beautiful without her wig and that she can't wear it all the time. So they go to meet his friends and she's wearing her wig now, so he's being nice. But now she's questioning his motives. Yes, just because of the wig. Now that, I mean, girl, when he first saw you and he wouldn't have sex with you that first night, that was weird. And then you guys had like a weird sexual encounter after. I don't know if they've continued to have sex or not. I don't I don't know. I have so many more questions. Again, he's not being a good scammer if this is what he is trying to do. So he tells his friends that he's wearing nice clothes today because of her. His friends tell Lisa that she changed his life and, she should keep doing that for him. And Lisa tells them that she works every day, 7 days a week for 15 hours a day. Yet, he doesn't share a lot about his past with her. And this is where we learn a lot more about Daniel. Okay. So I did not know about this. Apparently, there was a situation where Daniel was talking to another woman on social media at the same time that Lisa was talking to him. Lisa tells the camera that this woman, who was also in the US, reached out to her a couple of months ago to show her like these communications that she and Daniel were having. Daniel ended up telling her that this person was just a friend. She chose to believe him and then deleted all the screenshots. So I think she doesn't even have them anymore. Lisa tells the camera that the more she hears from his friends that she changed his life, the more she thinks that he was just looking for any American woman. And like, yes, of course, right? If he was talking to another American woman at the exact same time, you know, let we don't need to do the girl math. It's the very obvious math, okay? Now, the producer asked Daniel if he pursued women from the US before Lisa, and he says yes, but he was just like, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? But not for dating. Now, this sounds like fucking Zied, right? It sounds like the same thing. Like, yes, I messaged women on dating sites just to say, hello, welcome to Morocco. Now, people are saying that he does work in tourism, but still, you're not on dating sites for tourism. And unless it's sex tourism, of course, like Rick is. But it was just this whole thing is like, no, you were looking for any woman. You were probably sending the identical message to several women to see who would respond. I just always get so curious why they're willing to be on TV through this process when it is so obvious that they are committing a scam. Just really curious. But I do really feel for Lisa here. Like, as silly and weird as she is one of the most interesting characters this season. And I do feel bad for her with the wig situation because, like I said, for the most part, these scammers usually make more of an effort to act like they're attracted to these women. And this guy is not good at it. And it's making me cringe. I can't even imagine how it makes her feel, right? Okay, let's move on to Anna Lynn and Jovan. Now, we don't have a lot here because they're basically in a fight this entire time. So they're still on their honeymoon, they're still in a fight, and it's basically because she wanted him to be more positive or something, or romantic. She wanted him to be more romantic, but he basically just told her that she should appreciate him because he keeps her lights on. In other words, I pay for you to live, so shut the fuck up. That's how she feels about it, right? She feels like whenever they argue, he throws what he does for her in her face. Now, Javon tells the camera that he brings it up in hopes that she'll be a little bit nicer and appreciate him a little bit more. Anna Lynn feels like just because she isn't contributing financially doesn't mean that she's not doing her part. She feels like that she's been waiting around. So this patience that she's had to be in this relationship long distance for 7 years, that's her contribution, her patience. But the arguing in person has been very different for her. She feels like because they're long distance, it would be normal for them to not to talk for several days. But here they're in person, they can't really get away from each other. And she feels like when they get in a fight, he gives her like the silent treatment, but then they pan to Javon, who says that when we get in a fight, I like to give her space. And something that I noticed from the beginning of us seeing this couple on this show, they have been giving us this split screen in terms of their conversations or in terms of their versions of events. And I wonder if it's to show us how off these two are from each other, right? They'll show us Anna Lynn's version of an event, then they'll pan to Javon and him giving a version of an event or their emotions about the exact same thing. And I think it's really just trying to show us how these two are so mismatched because initially I really thought that they had something. First of all, the longevity, right? The fact that they have actually been married for this long is kind of crazy. Oh, remember at the very beginning, they were doing a split screen over like how long they've actually been together because Anna Lynn had one set of dates and Siobhan had another set of dates. Um, Initially, I thought he was a good guy because he was working in like this nursing home, but this whole male podcast thing just really gets to me. So I don't really know. I, and then when they met, I felt like they had a lot of chemistry initially, but now it's just they have such different communication styles. But I think they also want different things. And I don't know. It feels like they're not compatible. But I'm not 100% sure yet because we haven't really seen them happy as the problem because they were already in a fight when he got to the Philippines. So I just don't really know where we are with these two. He continues to blame her for all of their issues, saying that she nags him all the time. And Anna Lynn says it's not easy to be with him because of his whiny tantrums. Now she wants him to be more positive. Javon promises not to throw what he does in the marriage in her face, and they try to like, you know, come to an agreement to continue to keep on keeping on. But like, if this is their first time meeting up and they can't even get through like a honeymoon together without fighting, I mean, everybody fights, but it's very clear in a very like Kyle and Amanda from Summer House kind of way. And yes, Summer House is on the brain that their lifestyles are not compatible. Their way of thinking is not compatible. And I think they're going to end up wanting different things from each other. All right, let's move on to Rick and Trisha. And I cannot wait until this girl gets away from this guy. This guy, Rick the Ick, is just so fucking creepy. I cannot stand this guy. He has finally decided that this is going to be the episode where he tells her about his ex, but we'll get there in a minute. I'm so grossed out by the entire situation. It's so clear to me that he just likes to meet women abroad and bring them over for sex tourism. And I hate it. But first, Rick has actually got them this beautiful place to stay that's super private before they go to meet her dad in a few days. Now, of course, he has to be weird and gross and Rick-like, and he surprises Trisha with like these jungle costumes to wear to spice things up. Now they're basically like Halloween costumes, okay, where they look like Tarzan and Jane, and they're supposed to like go explore this very private island in these ridiculous costumes. Now, Rick tells the camera that role play is something that he recently got into, and it's something fun that he wants to try. Recently, when, Rick? You've been in this relationship. Recently, when? With your ex in Colombia? With all of the other women you're probably sleeping with? When, Rick? Piece of shit. So Trish thinks it's stupid and not even sexy, but she gives it a try to make him happy. And it shows that she's always trying to do these little things to be there for him and do things that he likes. And he just keeps being creepier and creepier. So Rick realizes that he has to tell Trish about his ex now because they're going to meet her dad soon. And he feels like that's the cutoff. He's like, I can't take things to that extent with her until I've told her what I really did during that 5-day period. So Rick says that this is what he tells her. During that 5-day period that you were ghosting me, I started talking to my ex in Colombia, and then I decided to book a trip there because I was feeling so lonely and abandoned, trying to blame her. And I thought that you didn't want me anymore. And then he says that he regrets it, but he thinks that it's something that they can work through. Now, Trisha tells him to shut up, and as she should, okay? Like, shut the fuck up, Rick. He's like, I told you after a couple of days that it's over if I don't hear back from you. And then I still didn't hear back from you for a couple of days after that. And then by then I'd already booked a flight there. And Trisha's like, I did respond to your messages. And Rick says that she accused him of stalking her when he kept like following up all the time. I really don't know, but still, Trisha's like, well, why did you wait so long to tell me? And now, obviously, her brain is in a million places right now, so she's not thinking straight. But I'll tell you why, Trish. Because he wanted to have sex with you as many times as humanly possible until he couldn't anymore, until the last possible second. Like, this guy is so fucking gross. He knew that you would leave him. There was no way possible that you were going to be like, yeah, we can work through this immense level of cheating where I was not as communicative for 5 days, didn't ghost you, just wasn't as communicative. and you go off and cheat on me. Like, are you fucking kidding? So yeah, he just wanted to rail the hell out of her, and I fucking hate this guy. I ugh, I hope they break up right here and there because like obviously he should not come meet her dad. I didn't see if they were in the episode for next week. I'm not quite sure, but God, it's this is a hard watch. All right, let's move on to our last couple, Laura and Beer Can. So Laura has been in Turkey for a week and things are going okay. She's a little bit worried because he's got like all of these debts. And then he's also concerned about her friendship with her friend Michael. So they go on this little trip. I really wasn't paying attention to where they were going or what they were doing, but like a little sightseeing type of thing. And this is where Laura tries to get more information about the debt. And she has absolutely right to do so. As much as we keep saying that, like, Laura, what are you doing here in a way? Because she's the most normal of all of these people. She is asking the right questions, thank God, right? Like, we don't have Lisa asking all of these right questions. You have Laura being like, she's at least not so lovey dovey that her love goggles aren't blinding her from reality. And that's a good thing. But the way that he's gotten sort of cocky within the last couple of weeks is pissing me off. Basically, ever since he told her that she can't be friends with Michael anymore, I've just been like not vibing this guy. Well, I've never been vibing him, but he just has gotten super controlling and like demanding ever since then, in my opinion. So they sit down to talk, and this is where Laura's asking about where the debt came from. So Birken explains that he opened a shisha bar, I guess before COVID, and he took a bank loan for this. And then he opened another one, and then he opened another one. So he had three shisha bars. But then COVID hit, so he ended up going bankrupt, and he had to sell all the shisha bars and his house and his car and everything that he had. So then he tried to work odd jobs, and he was working crazy hours, but he wasn't making any money. He'd work like 12 hours a day and he'd make like $40. So he found another way to pay his debt. He admits that he gambles every single day if he has money. So basically, Laura's concern here, and this is very smart, she's like, he just feels like he can gamble instead of finding a real job. And like, that's not okay because he's basically blaming, you know, the economy and like, you know, these jobs not paying well enough for him to pay his debt. So he has to do something a little more dangerous. Now, if he's gambling every day or every time he has any money, he's obviously addicted. Laura asks him if he gambled the $100 that she gave him for Valentine's Day, and he says yes. Now, the producer asks him straight out, are you addicted? And he says no, because he wouldn't share if he won or lost, and he's winning. Are you? How are you winning? Aren't you still $50,000 in debt? Isn't that what you told Laura? So what are you winning exactly? I feel like you must have lost a bunch of times. Like, listen, gambling is dangerous, you guys. It is an addiction. And Adam and I were talking about this on his last Hot Messy Topics, actually, because we were talking about Bethany's parents, and we were trying to figure out Bethany Frankel, and we were trying to figure out if they were rich or not. And he's like, and I said, well, her dad used to always take her to the racetrack. And Adam's like, well, doesn't that mean that he's rich? I'm like, well, not necessarily. He could have like a gambling problem, and he's now trying to pay off his bookie, right? And that's obviously a situation that Beer Can could have gotten himself into, right? Like, is the amount of debt that you have left from gambling, or is it from the shisha bars, right? Like, you must have been losing in terms of your gambling, or else I don't know. So Laura expresses concern that in America, he'll like pick up her money and gamble it, and she's on the line for him financially for 10 years. And she makes an excellent point because, you know, you are on the line for them financially for 10 years. His one particular problem in life is gambling away the thing that she would be responsible for 10 years. Yeah, I'd be hella worried if there was something else that he had, you know, like, I don't know, you know how these people always have a secret, right? His is financially related. And because it's financially related, like, can you imagine they break up a year down the road and he gambles himself out of house and home? Like, I cannot even imagine what it would do to Laura's fucking credit. Like, it would be so insane. I hope, and it's pretty clear, I think, that she's picking up on the fact that there isn't really enough here for her to make the decision to get him a K-1 visa, because it's clear that he kind of was just into her because he thought he could pick up or leave his debt behind, go to America. And that's just like not the case. He didn't just happen to start talking to her at the same time that he happened to have debt, at the same time that he happened to have believed mistakenly that you could just go to another country and your debt disappears. So Not a fan of beer can, but we do know that Michael gets there at some point in time. I'm not quite sure exactly when. I'll be very curious to see when that happens, and what that means. These two, I hope, are not together today. Let's hope the best for Laura. All right, you guys, that is the end of the episode for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. You could follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and Facebook at The Bravo Investigator. Sign up for the Patreon, which is patreon.com/The Bravo Investigator Podcast. And I love you, BBs. I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator Podcast. For more content, head over to patreon.com/The Bravo Investigator Podcast. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. Love you, BBs. See you next time.